God will take you places you never dreamed of. Today, I'm going to share to you the place near Iran where Spain and France border is the Bidasoa River and the small river island in its peasant island, Isla de los Paisanes, which is jointly administered by both countries. The city of Hindaye, also called Hindaya, is located in France, just across the river from Iran, with the Santiago Bridge connecting the two cities. Peasant Island, an inhabited island in the Bidasoya River. It is a unique joint territory that switches administration between Spain and France every 6 months. It was the site of the Treaty of the Pyrenees in 1659. The Bidasoya River. This river forms the natural boundary between the two nations at this point, with Iran on the Spanish side and Hindaye on the French side. Santiago Bridge. This bridge spans the Bidasoya River and is the key crossing point directly connecting Iran and Hindaye. Just near to the river, there is a Castillo Gastelosar or Castillo de Behobia near Iron Gipuzkoa, Basque Country, Spain. The castle sits on a hill above the Bado or ford of the Bidasoa River near Behobia, a neighborhood of Iran, overlooking the border area between Spain and France. Its position was chosen because this was a key movement point into Spain. Controlling the ford meant controlling or at least monitoring any incursion from France or Navarre across the border. The period is the early 16th century, a time when a frontier between Spain, Castile, Aragon, and France Navarre was tense, especially after the conquest of Navarre by Castile in 1512. Also significant, the shift from medieval-style castle to fortification adapted for artillery, guns, cannons is relevant. The source says that this castle is of transition between medieval and early modern fortification. The impetus on November 21, 1512 by Royal Cedula, Fernando II of Aragon, ordered the building of fortification at Behobia to guard against the possible French incursion. The work was entrusted to Diego de Vera, Captain General of Gipuzkoa and Alcalde of Hondarribia. It was constructed around 1515 to 1518. Some sources say construction concluded by 1518. The architectural characteristic, the plan is triangular with its three sides of 22 meters by 5 meters, each wall and the three circular Cobos towers. Built of limestone masonry, cemented with lime, with celeria cut stone facing, walls were thick to resist artillery. Defense feature at the base were troneras or gun ports for early artillery or small guns for about approximately of 6 meter height. Farther openings correspond to a second floor. The circular towers also had their own openings. The axis is south-facing door on the southern curtain wall, and the fortress was relatively small, designed for a modest garrison, or 30 to 40 men by many authors, though some sources suggest up to 100 rather than a large fortress. The military history and the role in war, the context. After the conquest of Navarre in 1512, there were fears of French retaliation or further incursion through the border. The fortress was meant as an early warning, blocking possession rather than a major stronghold. In 1521, the army of French Admiral André de Bonnevet invaded Gipuzkoa and took Puerto with ease. The castle of Behobia featured in this border turbulence. The fortress was involved in the lead up to the famous Battle of San Marshal in June 30, 1522. The source notes that was an enclave of great importance during the First Battle of San Marshal. After this battle, and due to involving strategic needs and perhaps to avoid the castle falling into enemies' hands, in 1539 the Emperor of Charles V ordered the castle to be demolished, officially executed by 1542. The reason, to ensure that if Navarrese or French forces attempted to conquer, they could not use this fortress. Later, in 1719, there was an attempt to rebuild the fortress, but it was blown up again in the same year or quickly abandoned. Over time, the castle area became overgrown and neglected, used as informal space, even a caserio, a farmhouse built within the ruins. Then, just next to the ruined castle is the cathedral, Iglesia de Nuestra Señora del Juncal, or the Church of Our Lady of Juncal. Its history, the church occupies an important place in the religious and the civic life of Iran. Due to its visibility and central location, it has been a landmark for the town for centuries. The building sites proximity to the Roman era port, and the estuary gives it a layered history. Underneath or adjacent to the church site, there have been archaeological remains, including Roman baths, that reflects the area's long occupation. Because of its size and strategic position, at the time of building there was some opposition, for example from nearby Hondarribia or the Viceroy of Navarra, on the grounds that a large church might be used for opponents or enemies in times of conflict. To sum up the whole day of our tour, we end up the Luminescence in a 360 immersible multimedia show combining video, mapping, projection on the architectural of the Cathedral of San Sebastian, immersive sound, and a narrative that leads you through the history and architecture of the building. The venue is in the Cathedral Buen Pastor in San Sebastian, a new Gothic church with a tall spire and rich architecture that works well as a canvas for light and sound. The show is structured roughly into 4 acts: the rise of the chimera, between shadows and light, echoes of ages, and eternalize, or their local equivalents, guiding the visitor journeys through the architecture, history, and symbolism of the place. So that's it for now. I hope you enjoy. Hasta mañana!